From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hey, boys and girls and everybody else, welcome to episode number 213 of From the Middle, a comedy, culture, entertainment, and interview-style podcast hosted by three middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view that generally falls somewhere in the middle. In this episode, I have a crazy travel story with you. I ran into one really rude lady and one really nice lady and a third lady who's my new hero. So we talk about that, a place where you can get amazing peaches on wheels. Dillon brings in a crazy drink for us to try. We talk about Amy's birthday. Happy belated birthday, Amy. And then in the back episode of this episode, we talk about a crap ton of stuff that we're streaming and whether or not you should check it out. We would love to hear from you. So please weigh in, ask a question, leave a voicemail, leave a comment, or a few bucks so we can buy wings. Bye.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it?
You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
Kendall, you just said a word that my kids have been saying lately. And I've heard the youths say this word. I didn't know it was a word until I heard it in the last handful of years. That is yeet.
Yeet. I think, are the kids still saying it?
Yeah.
Wow. Look how hip I am.
To throw, right? Or is that the sound effect of the throw?
My basic understanding of
Onomatopoeia.
Kind of onomatopoeia. I've heard it used not just to physically throw something. It's more like a hurl, like you're hurling something. Like there's more behind.
It can't be a casual toss. It has to be an umph.
Comedically fast for social media video purposes.
I wouldn't say comedically.
Okay.
Just I think to put some
Zhuzh behind it.
Yeah, to put some zhuzh behind it is all.
What should we do with this rotten pumpkin from Trick or Treat? Just yeet it into the field.
Exactly. Yeet it into the field. Which means it's a little different than toss, I think. Or
hurl, heave.
Heave
Chuck.
Might be good. Chuck, yeah.
Chuck it into the field.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Chuck feels a little more casual than yeet. Don't you?
Well, Charles is the more formal.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
Yeah. I feel like you could gently throw an axe at a target, or you can really yeet it out there.
Yeah, see, that feels more comedically aggressive than the other options.
When my 8-year-old son says it comes off as comedic. Yeah.
Okay. Is it still? Do kids still say in a positive way? I was on a work call today, and there's the comment thing on all the video platforms, and there was good news, and there was an internal call, and I said sick. I just commented sick.
Right.
I think
that's still a thing, right?
I think it's dated.
Yes, that is. Well, my kids say it all the time.
Okay.
Sick, like that's sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sick
all
with
right.
it.
Everything is sick to them.
Sick with it.
To them.
Good.
And everybody is bruh.
I almost felt like I had to go back and comment below, like, whoops. Here's what that means.
Helps if you turn your headphones on.
Oh, were they?
They were not engaged.
They weren't
You just
powered.
now turned them on?
I just yeeted the button forward.
So wait a minute. So they were. You said like earlier when we were sound checking, my voice sounds a little weird.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
Okay, it's good. But now your headphones are
Now they sound way better. It's like when you go to the eye doctor and he's like, hey, do you want to actually see?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you walk out of there seeing much better than when you... Okay, I have to get this story out of the way. I'm coming in hot, literally and figuratively.
All right.
People are kind of tired of the travel stories, I imagine. But this story may take the cake for worst travel experiences in the 15 years that I've been traveling.
Well, we have to hear it.
So let's get it out of the way so we can talk about fun stuff. And so I can put it behind me emotionally. So I was in Jersey City. I was there from Tuesday, and I was supposed to leave on Friday at 5:57 in the afternoon. Our gig was on Thursday. I almost never have to have a follow-up meeting the next day, but in this case, we had a quick little 2-hour powwow Friday morning that I needed to stay and have a later flight.
All right.
I wake up Friday morning to 3 texts from United. The first says,
Oh, no.
Oh boy.
due to projected, I'm paraphrasing, due to projected weather issues and congestion on the ground, your flight may or may not be affected. Second text, your flight is canceled. Third text, we've rebooked you on the same 5:57 flight tomorrow, Saturday. So I go to the office, I meet my colleagues, I tell them what happened. They're like, that sucks, dude. Their flights are that afternoon as well. And one of theirs gets canceled, but they live close enough that they could take a train to DC.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy was leaving like an hour before mine. He was going to Seattle. It's a direct from Newark to Seattle.
Cool.
His is delayed 2 hours, but he gets out. When I look at the weather during the time that I was supposed to depart, it's overcast, but it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's these little summery pop-up storms.
Yeah.
Now here's the recurring theme I'm gonna ask you guys' take on. It seems premature to cancel a flight due to summery pop-up storms 19 hours before departure.
Yeah.
That seems a little early to be doing that. What do we know about summer storms? They come and they go and they change. They're summer storms. They're weird. Fine, whatever. So I stay in Jersey City. My colleagues have both left now. I'm like, well, I'll make the most of it. I found a nice little pub, had some poutine. It was delicious, and a couple pints of Guinness. Went back to my
So
room.
the famous Jersey City poutine.
Famous Jersey City poutine.
Yeah.
Went back to my room and just chilled. Tell Sherry what's happening. Hey, babe, I'm not going to be back till tomorrow. Whatever. Wake up Saturday morning to a text from United Airlines that says, due to potential weather and ground congestion, your flight may be affected today. Second text, your flight has been canceled. No third text.
Oh, no.
So I get on the phone. My company has a travel agency. I call that travel agency. I say, what's the deal? Can you give me any other United Airline flight today, Saturday? No, there's no more flights. At all? At all. Connecting flights even. No flights. What about other airlines? No flights. Okay, just give me a rental car. One second. There are no rental cars. What do you mean there are no rental cars? Due to all the canceled flights, there are no rental cars. Right, but that's just the airport, right? What about like other companies like standalone Avises and Budgets and Enterprises and hold on one second, where are you at? Checking your radius. Yeah, no cars, sir. No cars? No cars at all. I mean, we can keep, expanding the circle. So I'm like, I'll call you back. I call Sherry. I explain the situation. Oh, by the way, CWT says not only are there no flights today, tomorrow is 12 hours of storms.
Yeah.
You're not getting out Sunday either. I'm supposed to have left Friday afternoon. I call Sherry. I'm like, babe, what do I do here? I mean, this is silly. Just now I'm adding nights on, to the hotel. She's like, I mean, I can come get you. It's 8 hours from Columbus to Jersey City. She's like, I can come get you. I'm like, that sounds silly. Why don't you help me and we'll both start looking for rental car companies. Even if I have to drive a bit, I'd rather control my own destiny and get out of here. So let's just start expanding the radius from Exchange Place in Jersey City and we'll find a car, right? So I get back on the phone with CWT. I say, can you help me find a rental car? They're like, sorry, sir, there's no cars. The problem, I think, was not that there were literally no cars. There were no cars that they were willing to let me drive one way and leave in Columbus.
Okay.
So there may have been cars, but those places wanted to keep those cars on site.
Sure.
As I'm on the phone with them, Sherry says, try Middletown. They've got cars available that will go one way. So I say to the agent, my wife says there's one in Middletown. They're like, one sec. Yep, there is. I was like, grab it. Middletown is an hour and a half away from Jersey City.
Okay.
So now the challenge is I got to get an Uber driver or a taxi driver to take me 3 hours for them round trip.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, great. Before I leave the hotel and cancel that night's reservation, wisely, I call Avis and say, the Avis in Middletown, and say, hey, I just made a reservation. I would like a confirmation that there is a car there. She's like, no problem. You just got to be here by 11 a.m. It's now 9. And I haven't even begun packing. So I just throw all my stuff in a bag, I go as fast as I can. I left stuff in the air at the hotel room for sure. As I'm like walking past the front desk of the hotel, I say, call me a car. I'm going to Middletown. And the other front desk agent thinks I said Midtown and goes, there's a ferry to Midtown. And I go, no, because I'm right on the Hudson.
Okay.
And they're like, no. I mean Middletown, like in the middle of nowhere, New York. And she goes, oh. I said, will anybody take me there? They go, yeah, but it's going to be dollars. And I was like, that's a lot, but I'm getting out of here, right?
Well, I mean, at some point versus the cost of another flight.
Right, and another night at a hotel. And who knows when on now Monday I'm actually going to get rebooked by United.
If
at all, right?
Course.
So I take my, if you know this hotel, it's the Hyatt Regency on the Hudson. It's a pier that juts out over the Hudson. So you're looking at a 180-degree view of Manhattan. It's beautiful. But there's this really, really, really long escalator that goes up a couple stories to get to the lobby, which is on floor 3. So I'm like, okay, thanks, see ya. I'll look for the car. She's like, it'll be a black SUV. Great. Long escalator ride down. And now I'm so worked up from having been on the phone for 2 days and trying to sort this, or a day at this point, and trying to sort this, and anxiety, and I'm sweating because of all the rushing around to throw stuff in my bag. I feel like Dillon running through the airport. And where was it, Atlanta?
No, it was in Texas. Somewhere. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm now standing on a street corner outside of the hotel in Jersey City, out loud saying, come on. I'm looking for this black SUV, and I'm looking at my watch going, I'm doing the math of like,
yeah,
I might not make it to the rental car that I've now booked. And now what do I do if I get all the way out there and I miss them or there is no car? So now I'm like, I'm trying to like eat the elephant that is all the little things that have to go right in order for me to get out of here.
Right.
So no car. 5 minutes goes by. 10 minutes goes by. 15 minutes goes by. Now it's like,
it's eating into
my
your window to get to the
get
car. Yeah.
So I'm like, I've now walked like a block or two to get to this, like the best spot for the car to pick me up. And now I'm weighing, do I go all the way back up into the hotel, all the way back up to the escalator, all the way to the front desk and say, can you let me know when they're coming? But I do. I go all the way back, all the way back up the escalator. I'm like, there's now people in line at the front desk. Like they're already engaged in conversation with other customers, and I just yell at them and go, no car, because I'm panicking. I'm like, there's no car. I'm sorry. Like, she's like, I'm so sorry, sir. I'll call them right now. I'm like, well, I can't wait on you to tell me they're still coming. I'm just going to go back down. When I go back down, a maroon Lincoln from the 90s shows up and goes, room 852. And I go, that's me. And she goes, Middletown? And I go, yup. And she goes, get in. So this very kind Arab woman named Soha, she was so sweet. The car was a little questionable.
Sure.
I learned that Soha has lived in Jersey City for 35 years. And she's like, don't worry, sir. This highway we're taking, it's going to be fine. There's no traffic. So we start driving and she goes, oh, there's been an accident on this highway.
Oh, no.
That takes me out to Middletown. And she goes, it's okay. I know back roads. So Soha starts doing back roads on surface streets to try to get to an alternate route. I love her at this point because I'm like, she gets it. She feels my pain. For all I know,
for you.
She's working for me. For all I know, this driver could be like, hey, man, this is your problem. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
But Soha has empathy, and Soha has taken on my challenge, and she's made it her challenge.
Yeah.
Now she's driving these surface streets so stoppy-goey that I'm getting nauseated in the backseat. So anyway, I explained the whole situation. She's like, why you no fly? And I tell her why I'm not flying. She's like, no rental car. I'm like, there is one rental car, and we're going to it, and we need to get there by 11. So I now call Avis in Middletown. I say, I'm in the car right now. You said I need to be there 11? And she goes, well, like noon, but I say 11. I say 11 because I want to leave at noon. So like, somewhere between 11:15 and 11:45. I go, fine, we'll be there. And she goes, but seriously, 11:45. I go, but seriously, you're my last car out of this state, so please stay. I'm on my way.
It's like I understand if I'm not there at 12:01, but don't leave at 11:42.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Now
like,
Soha and I are committing an hour and a half.
Yeah, right.
So I get to know Soha. Soha gets to know me. I tell her I'm praying. She's like, I pray too. I pray too. She's like, I wish. We get into a little bit of traffic that slowed us down for maybe 7 minutes. But anyway, we get there at exactly 11:30 a.m., 15 minutes before the sassy lady at Avis in Middletown tells me I'm supposed to be there. And here's how awesome Soha is. And I'm going to share a picture of her. I took a picture of her and I I'll share it on our Facebook page, From the Middle for the Middlers. She like pulls right up to the front door, doesn't bother with parking spots. She puts her front bumper on the front door. She's like, you go, 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 go. She's like, don't worry about settling up with me. She starts getting my luggage out of the trunk while I engage with the Avis person. I get the vehicle. I get my car. I have keys in hand. She's waited that entire time, adding to my fare, but still.
Hey.
So she's
earned it.
She's earned it
at this point.
And now she's like, I'm so happy we did it. We did, like, it's a we thing now, right? It's so beautiful. I've bonded with this person. And she goes, what do you want to tip? And I'm like, and I go, I don't know what's customary. And she goes, honestly, you getting home to your wife is tip enough. And I was like,
I got to at least double it now.
And I was like, okay, but I'm a captive audience. Like, what do you call that? Like I can't question her rate or her fare or anything. Like so I was just like, is 50 okay? She's like, that's very nice. She's very pleased with that. So whatever. So get the car. I get a really cool, by the way, Chevy Colorado with Bose speakers all the way up front. But now I'm so worked up from the entire morning that I feel like it's 5 or 10 miles before I've even calmed down to realize I'm now settling into an 8-hour journey.
Yeah. Because then you've got to be thinking, well, now I still need to get some food and find a bathroom
but you're not fighting a clock anymore.
Now, exactly.
Change into a comfortable shirt.
I now control my destiny, and I am now no longer fighting a clock. So now, once I get on the road, 5 or 10 miles down the road, now I'm canceling my hotel for that night. Now I'm telling the travel agency to not worry about the flight, to just cancel that flight that they never rebooked anyway. Now I'm calling Sherry, explaining what's like. It was such a crazy.
Yeah.
So many things had to go right, and you could like. I haven't done the math yet to figure out like where I net or minus from if I would have just stayed in a hotel room until Monday.
Right.
But we had plans on Sunday. Like there was nothing I had to get back for, but it was just like I just don't want to be at the mercy of whether or not I ever get rebooked in these little pop-up storms. But it all goes back to why cancel flights 19 hours early for these little tiny we know some
there's got to be. Do you think any of that is like a drunk pilot, they're not staffed enough, that they just claim weather? Do you think some of that happens?
I'm sure they have an algorithm in place that is like, because why did my Seattle buddies flight still get out? I think they prioritize the longer flights, the bigger planes, and those small little 1 hour and 15-minute flights, they just start dropping to create themselves a buffer for the weather that may come through.
Or they know those people can quickly get alternate.
They know those people can quickly get alternate route. The only reason I flew United, because I told my buddy this story, and he goes, well, that was your first problem. The only reason I flew United is because they're the only direct flight from Columbus to Newark. But anyway, so crazy.
Well, man. Thank you, Soha.
I was so waiting for that story partway through to end with. So next scene is Kory driving west in a U-Haul.
I just shacked up with this polka band. No, Soha was great. I told her she was my hero. There's Soha. I'll show Dillon, and then I'll send it on the socials later. She was awesome, and she made it happen. But yeah, crazy times. On my flight out there, I thought this was funny. Now that we're getting into just going around the horn, I prefer the aisle, and this is a small flight, so it's 2 and 2 seats and 2 seats. And I'm on the aisle, and an older woman comes down the aisle. They have to make that like they're gauging where their seat is. Mm-hmm. And she realizes that she's in my row, and she knows she's on the window, and she looks at me and says, you can just scoot in if you want. And I was like, nah, I prefer the aisle. And she goes, scaredy cat.
That's not what she said?
Yeah. And then she goes, chicken. She doubled down. And I was like, is she trying to guilt me into taking the window, shame me into the window seat because she wants the aisle?
She has probably had that work so many times that...
Or was she being funny?
Here was the timing. You can just scooch in if you want. No, it's fine. I prefer the aisle. Scaredy cat. Chicken. I'm like, what?
Well, either she's massively projecting and she doesn't want that, or she's so scared of her brittle bones having to get up from the window seat if she needs to go to the bathroom that she doesn't want the hassle of crossing another seat. I think she's had that work enough times and she even doubled down because if people don't hear her the first time or pretend like, well, she couldn't have said.
She couldn't.
Surely she didn't say scaredy cat.
Wow.
And then she follows up with a chicken.
She really wants you to take that window seat. I had so many weird experiences.
I like it.
On this thing, some positive, some negative. 2 more things that have nothing to do with the travel. So I'm in my hotel. It's a beautiful view of the Hudson. I can literally see the Statue of Liberty out my window. And it's really cool. There's a big blackout blind that's like heavy, leathery plastic. Mm-hmm. And then behind that is a sheer blind with like horizontal bars through it to reinforce it. And both roll up with the push of a button. So over on the wall panel is a thing that says sheer and a thing that says blackout. And then once you select which one you want, you push either up or down to make that one do that thing.
Sure.
So I hit blackout all the way up. I like the windows completely open all the time. No one can see in my room really from where my room's positioned. And I'm like, I just want to see this beautiful scene. Mm-hmm. I push sheer. Sheer goes up like 4 inches from the bottom and doesn't go up anymore. It seems to be snagged up in the roller. So most of my stay was wonderful. I really like this hotel. The bar restaurant's nice. It's all great. I get really good service there. But at the end of my 3rd day, when all this travel stuff is happening and my first flight was canceled, they think I've checked out in the system. So when I go to log back into the Wi-Fi, they're like, tell us about your experience. And I was like, well, I don't really have anything super negative or super positive to say. It is a little annoying that sheer blind won't go up. So in my comments, I just put something like, stay was wonderful. Blinds are so broken that they won't roll up all the way. Would really like to enjoy the view that I've paid for, but not a big deal. I even put, but not a big deal in the thing. Like 11 p.m. that night, I get a knock on the door. And they're like, maintenance. And I'm like, I'm in my boxers, just, chilling. Mm-hmm. I'm like, 1 second. They took that survey that was followed up with someone will be in contact with you shortly via your preferred communication method. Uh-huh. And they just bypassed that whole thing and sent a guy up to the room to fix it. So he's like, yeah, about the blinds. And I was like, yeah, but nobody called or anything. He's like, no, nobody called you? And I go, no. He's like, well, they just sent me up. He walks over to the thing, pushes it down, pushes it back up, and it works completely fine.
Did you try turning it off and back on again?
So that was I'm feel like such a schmuck. Last thing, one day, so the office that we're working from this hotel is literally 10 steps away from when you clear the parking garage. So it's right there. But this day happened to be pouring. In fact, the Weather Channel shared later that day that a massive bolt of lightning hit Freedom Tower the morning that I'm talking about walking over there. So it was this crazy thunderstorm the day before I was supposed to leave. While I was up, before I was about to come down the escalator, I hear a lovely Irish accent. And I look over, and there's 2 older women talking to the person at the front desk. Mm-hmm. I say, you from Ireland? And the one goes, no, I'm Scottish. And the other one goes, yes, I'm from Ireland. So I say, oh, that's awesome. I got to go to Galway a couple years ago. We've got heritage from there, whatever. Mm-hmm. She instantly became like family to me. When we got outside, she opened her umbrella so that I could walk under it with her.
Wow.
And she was like, you should tell what does she say? When you get back home, tell your family that you met more family in Jersey City and you have a blessed day. Look at the Irish. Like, she was so nice. And I was like, I love these, like, this diverse set of experiences. I've got the lady on the plane going, chicken, scaredy cat.
Scaredy cat.
And all I do is mention having heritage from Ireland, and everybody does. And this lady is like, your family, here's an umbrella. I'll walk you to your building. Have a great day at work. I was like, so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's awesome.
Anyway, it's good to see you guys. I didn't think I ever would.
Here you are.
Well, we're glad you made it back.
Yeah.
Kory. That is an exciting story.
How are you guys doing? What's going on?
I also have an exciting. I bought peaches today, so that was
From where?
It's my exciting news. The peach truck.
That's a good place to find
peaches.
peaches.
Have you guys heard of the? Have you guys tried the peach truck?
I follow them on socials.
I have never tried the peach truck before.
Yeah.
I just picked them up today.
Were you pleased with your peaches from the peach truck?
Well, I haven't eaten them yet.
Okay.
They told me don't eat them for a few days.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to give it lay them out and wait and stare at them and salivate and then eat them all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are right now. If those of you who aren't familiar, the peach truck is a service where we live here in Ohio. We don't have fresh peaches here.
Nope.
But the state of Georgia sure does.
Millions of peaches,
Peaches for free.
but not here.
That's right.
0 peaches.
Exactly. Anyway, so there's this company called the Peach Truck, and they grab peaches that were like literally just picked that day, and then ship them to you in the truck. Like, they sell them out of the back of the truck that they're using to go from Georgia to you, this big semi truck, and there's just a schedule that shows where it's going to be, and you can order ahead and pick up your big ol' box of sun-soaking bulges in the shade.
Follow them literally and figuratively at thepeachtruck.com. We'll also tag them on all posts regarding this episode.
So I'll have to give you guys an update as to how I feel about the Peach Truck peaches once I've actually tried the Peach Truck peaches.
Yeah, they're good. They had quite a system. The only issue we had, they said they were going to be at Easton, so we Googled the address to see where Easton is a big mall in Columbus, if you're not familiar. And it covers a pretty big area. There's a lot of indoor and outdoor spaces. So
You're like, where exactly?
where exactly is this address? And basically it was like where it was located, it was going to be kind of in an alley by Starbucks. And I thought, well, that's weird, but maybe if it's a big truck, they might like pull it in and then offload kind of onto the sidewalk where people could walk up and whatever. So we were like minutes away from it closing. We had to like rush after work to drive over to the mall to get these peaches.
Yeah.
And they weren't where they were supposed to be. So we had to like weave and juke and jive through all the traffic to get to the guest services. They're like, oh, no, they're not where you just were. They're on the other end of the mall.
Yeah.
So then with like minutes left, we're like, we got to get in the car because we can't walk that far and then walk back with a crate of peaches.
Right.
Other than their directions were off, we pulled up at the last minute and got ours, and they were fresh and delicious. So
Wonderful.
Best
You
of
know
luck.
what? I think that they probably you likely were not the only ones who had that problem.
Probably not.
And they fixed it now. Like
Yeah.
literally the random parking lot's probably the same parking lot you were in before.
by Nordstrom.
Yes, but kind of far away, closer to Morse Road there.
Yeah, that's where they were actually. That's where they were actually located.
That spot now
Yeah.
has an address, and it gives you that address. Now, when you put that address in, it shows you a point in
Oh,
the
nice.
parking lot.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And that's exactly where they were.
Yeah, we went to the opposite end of the mall,
no.
to the Starbucks.
Yeah.
To the Starbucks, near the Starbucks to the other end of the mall. But yeah, they were good. So props there.
Do you guys find it interesting that, like, we've been talking about these lobster trucks and like these food trucks and stuff? Like, is this really like, it feels like a really simple business model. Like, bring a thing people don't have at a place, bring them things that we can get from another place that has that thing.
Yeah.
Well, it seems very simple, but it's really about the marketing, and their Instagram pages are really cool. And it feels like a supply demand, like not everybody can get it. And it's a fun story to tell.
I feel like I feel like it's lower risk being in a truck instead of paying to deck out a building, right?
Oh, for sure.
You can use social media to go new places. So people are always wanting to try something new. So if you have a spot that you set up near your home base that performs really well, you can keep going back there, and you can find other new places and areas and towns that work well. But I think it's hard to be a brick and mortar restaurant, and do like the recurring theme of every Gordon Ramsay kitchen nightmare is like better ingredients, smaller menu,
Papa John's.
execute well. Execute really well. It's harder to have a really tiny menu at a brick and mortar and keep a tiny menu for a long time, and people keep coming back for a tiny menu.
Sure.
But if you're on a truck and you're like, I'm going to make really awesome, expensive grilled cheese for 18 months, and then I'm going to repaint my truck and then switch to lobster rolls, you can do that. And it feels a lot lower risk and easier to manage.
A lot lower risk, and I mean, probably a lot cheaper on the both on the overhead end, but also on the like getting started situation. I'm sure that like it would be a lot cheaper to do some market research on a city and be like, do these people want like my specialty nachos,
right?
In this city, and then like you go drive to a corner, I'm like, well, that sucked. Going to go to a new location now, and you can feel it out that way versus like spending like $1 million to try to figure out which corner in this city is the one where you need to put your brick and mortar store for it to work.
Yeah. Plus your payroll is like 2 people on a truck, not 20, and you're trying to flip a 40 top 3 times, before the night is over.
Yeah.
To
do you think
cover payroll and food?
Do you think it also taps into the hipster thing of like, I get my peaches from a truck that comes to my town.
Sure.
Instead of getting them from the produce aisle at Kroger.
Sure.
These people that want chickens in their backyard.
Yeah, but
and then they spend $750 on a chicken coop, and it takes them how many years to recoup, no pun intended, the investment of the coop and all the food to get that value in eggs. Mm-hmm. I think it taps into that hipster sort of, thing.
But that feels like that you need a story behind something for it to be interesting. Yeah. I feel like the sheer simplicity of the logistics doesn't have to be that interesting of a story for me to go. If they're going to drive from Atlanta or South Carolina to Ohio overnight and bring these peaches up here, that's going to be much more fresh than them sitting on different Kroger trucks for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need a story to tell me that those are likely going to be better peaches. And if the price is comparable to what I would spend, that's it. There's no beautiful narrative about how I opened a winery named after my grandpappy, and that's not what that is. It's just simple. The price is pretty similar. They're driving overnight or in a day or two, and they're going to bring the freshest peaches from wherever they're grown naturally.
Mm-hmm. But as a guy who wears MeUndies, uses Dr. Squatch soap, and loves Liquid Death, I do love a good story.
Yes.
My friend told me that the other day. He's like, man, you'll buy anything with a good story.
Right. You sure will.
I get it.
Yes, sure will.
And Branded Bill's hats and Roosevelt's shirts.
Yeah. All good.
Instagram gets me, man.
Sucker.
I'm such a sucker.
I think you also just described our demographic.
I'm falling for all of it.
Yeah, that's awesome,
man.
Well,
you show me a creative single shot commercial on YouTube, and I'm all in.
As long as you're like self-aware and you're kind of making fun of your own product, like I'm totally gonna buy it.
Maybe the single shot, like I'm walking through a warehouse doing funny things with funny people throwing things at me, kind of commercial. Maybe that's played out now. Maybe you see a new one now and you're like, nah, everybody's doing that.
Exactly.
Did you see the hashtag shot on iPhone? That's incredible.
Yeah. Are you sleeping with the pillow cube?
No, I don't have
No,
that. I do have what's the other one? The super right-wing guy? My
oh,
pillow.
Yeah,
my pillow. We got
pillow.
some My Pillows.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
It's Sherry Bottom.
Do you like it?
No, I have an ergonomic one.
Yeah, I think he's trying to sell off the brand now because
he's a little out there.
He might have made it lose a little value.
Oh, it definitely lost value.
Yeah, so I think he's trying to sell it.
That's the whole
So if
thing.
anybody wants a pillow company, you can create a new story for it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he sold off like a whole line of stuff. But I think he just came out with a new generation of pillow.
Oh, okay. When I saw a bunch of My Pillow in an Ollie's the other day, I thought, oh,
things are changing for this guy.
Things
Those are
changing
probably
for-
first gen My Pillows.
for My Pillow. Yeah, it could be.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it's like. I mean, he had to have taken a hit. Like,
Yeah.
you can't. Well, as we've learned recently, you can't alienate half of your audience and then,
Sure.
Right.
and then expect things to be okay.
If he had been a little more centrist, maybe he wouldn't have had
Exactly.
to ship
You know
so
what?
many
My
pillows.
Pillow guy, had you been listening to From the Middle
Yep.
this whole time,
Yep.
maybe you'd still be booming in business.
Maybe.
Dillon, I was trapped in Jersey City. Kendall bought peaches. What are you up to, my friend?
Speaking of booming in
brother?
business, you know
Okay.
who's never having a hard time is Coca-Cola. And we've got some ultimate limited edition. I don't know how to make something seem more unique than the words ultimate and limited edition together. We've got some soda to try, and it is plus XP flavored. So not only do you get to sample this hopefully deliciousness, what are you going to apply your plus XP to when you're done is the question. So I'm going to crack it open, and we'll have a little sip.
XP flavored.
I'm about to taste what XP flavor is. What XP tastes like?
I'm going to level up in Call of Duty as I drink this. Don't say anything. Hold on. I need to come up with my own words. Oh, Dillon's got... Sorry.
They might still be working their way through the leftover mango flavor. I don't know everything that
I
they do
think
tastes like mango.
You had
now.
a stroke, and all you can taste is mango and things now.
It's that tingly shampoo that you borrowed from your wife that got
the tea tree oil.
down into there and started tickling the brain.
Yep.
That's
it's
interesting.
I don't know
Mango
what it is.
receptors are on the outside of the brain, and they're overstimulated right now.
Do you think it's like a candy flavor initially, like almost a Skittles-y,
like a cream candy flavor?
Remember when you were
I'm
almost-
kind of with you on the mango thing.
Remember when you were almost poisoned by figs?
Yeah.
Is that what that was? Like a fig schmear
Yeah, I think that's what it was on a charcuterie board.
on a on a charcuterie?
Okay, we're going to try to figure out what this flavor is. We're going to hear from some of our friends in Odd Pods Media, and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Russ.
This is Kyle.
This is Michelle.
From the Infectious Groove Podcast. Join us every Monday for the most fun you can have with a music podcast. The Infectious Groove Podcast uses a positive and fun approach as we take time every week to share our jammy jams, then dig into a thought-provoking topic discussing all decades and genres of music. You can find the Infectious Groove Podcast on all major podcast platforms, or you can head to infectiousgroovepodcast.com to find us there and subscribe. We might have a controversial opinion here or there, but we always have fun with it.
Oh, I'm sure I'll say something dumb.
Subscribe to the Infectious Groove Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network.
You know what I miss? You want to know what I miss?
Nostalgia.
Something nostalgic. Being in a department store
Yeah.
and flipping through like the giant Rolodex of posters.
Yeah.
I feel like I
Yeah.
haven't seen that in forever.
It's at the occasional Meijer or Walmart still.
Is it?
I feel.
I haven't seen it. I don't really have a Walmart around me. but
Sometimes
I've got
they put
two
it with-
different Meijer I go to.
Sometimes they put it with like the party favors in cards,
Okay.
and it's not by toys. See, it depends on if it's by toys or by like the party favors and balloons.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
okay, so let's go back to this plus XP flavored 0-calorie ultimate limited edition Coca-Cola Zero Sugar Creations. How many different words are in this
A lot.
brand?
I'm getting some kind of
words.
like candy at the front that I can't put my finger on, and then there's maybe like some mango on the back end that they had left over. Is it Skittles or Smarties or
I think it's the tropical Skittles,
maybe, and maybe that's where the mango
the
is.
blue bag
Maybe. I feel like
or the purple bag.
this is if you take
I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's
if
drinkable.
if you take what I have been known to call as the Neanderthal approach to Skittles, and that is just a handful,
Shovel.
and you don't even care what colors they
Just
are.
yeet them right in your mouth.
Did you just honk like a goose?
What was that?
That was a laugh on the inhale.
Okay.
Like who's
Yeah.
the
Got
comedian,
it.
the British comedian that does that?
Oh, I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
he's the provocateur.
Yeah.
Guy.
Oh man, it's gonna.
Anyway,
I'll think of it later. But the tropical Skittles.
Yep.
Handful of that, so it's not a generic one fruit, but I do kind of have like pick up a mango-ish kind of tropical-ish kind of thing. But so take that particular generic fruit flavor on the whole and turn that into a creamed candy.
Yeah.
And so it's like a cream soda of that flavor.
I'm sorry, you just did the Scotty Powers on the whole thing.
On the whole?
It does feel good on the whole.
Says Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy Carr. That guy. Yeah, oh my God. He is
do you know anyone that laughs on the inhale in real life?
No.
We should talk about that sometime. Maybe not this time.
Or who honks like a goose. I would drink this again, since we're trying it and discussing. But I'm going to put my plus XP to more humor. That's what I'm going to use mine for.
Well, good luck with that.
Seriously, though, we were trying to decide via text whether this was going to be an in-person or a virtual episode, and we decided on in-person. And Kendall jokingly said, cool, it's been a while since I've smelled you guys.
Right, yeah.
Which is funny. In preparation, I ate so much Taco Bell before I got here.
Joking.
I was gonna say. I imagine he delivered that. The tone of that was very serious.
Yeah. I ate a lot of Taco Bell before I got here.
I know,
just
buddy.
to prep, for you.
There it is.
Although I think we all know the biggest victim in that is my wife. That's pretty certain. Let me pull up my notes.
You've got a lot of stuff you've been streaming.
Oh man. So we've talked about many times about signing up for a streaming service and kind of binging through whatever you want to watch.
See what's good.
Drop
see what it for the next one.
Yeah, and get rid of it. So, we're still working through Stars because Outlander, we were finishing a season of Outlander, but then it started right after we were done binging, so we're going to keep Stars a little longer. But right now we have Apple TV Plus, and so let's see. I'm just going to do what I normally do, which is rattle off some stuff. The Banker on Apple TV Plus, that was Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson. Basically, before African Americans had full rights and segregation, some of those things, they basically figure out how to buy property, keep buying property, even though you're dealing with white tenants or flipping property or trying to buy a bank or trying to buy. So it's this really interesting. I don't know. I've missed the exact years of it. In 1950s, maybe something like that. 1960s. You're dealing with post World War II. So what happens when how they can't even walk into a meeting with a white person to go try to buy a prestigious piece of property or something like that. And so it's really interesting. That's a good watch. Greyhound, also on Apple TV Plus. Tom Hanks is the captain on a destroyer during World War II, trying to get supplies from North America to Britain to help funnel supplies for the war in Europe.
Okay.
And they're dealing with U-boat attacks, German U-boats in the Atlantic.
Those U-boats.
That was good. Ghosted on Apple TV Plus. Also, we've been watching Shrinking, which I really like. I think it's really Jason Segura has grown on me a little bit. But
sorry
I think
to hear that.
Just a little bit. I didn't say a lot. I'm not going to go to lunch. I'm not going to go to lunch with the guy. But
we could get him on the podcast.
Easy.
Yeah, easy score.
As long as he hasn't listened to previous episodes.
Yeah.
Do you know? Because I don't. None of the writing for the rest of the cast, the whole ensemble, not just Jason Segura and Harrison Ford and the daughter, none of the writing for the rest of the cast feels forced or forced stereotypes or trying too hard. It's really good writing.
Except for him.
Except maybe for him, because he's Jason Segura and he's a little over the top. But I really like the neighbor's husband. He's really funny, but not in any sort of way that doesn't feel like he couldn't be a real guy. Like when the old lady is mad because there's just a person of color in her neighborhood. And, he's like, the wife is saying, we don't like her. And then he instantly is like, eat a bag of Karen. It's just easily believable. Really great characters.
Eat what again?
What?
What? Eat what?
Eat what? You can just watch it. Anyways, that was good. Ghosted on Apple TV Plus. This is Chris Evans and it's probably Ana de Armas, spy thriller. Both of them are producer and executive producer or something. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. Easily the kind of movie before the MCU and Mandalorian and all that stuff would have been out that would have been just a summer blockbuster. You would have said, let's just go watch this new Bourne movie or this new Mission Impossible movie and it'll be good. And that's kind of what Ghosted was. And then a documentary series, Real Madrid Until the End, also on Apple TV Plus, talking about how Real Madrid, as I'm learning, for anyone who's not a huge football fan or soccer fan, I'm slowly learning more and more watching documentaries. They're basically like the Alabama Crimson Tide of European soccer. They've won the most like major championships. So this documentary, the people are really likable, but it's almost like, oh my gosh, Alabama had one bad start to one season. Let's see if they can come back and fight through adversity. Is kind of how it feels. Yeah. But like a lot of the players are so likable and feel really down to earth that you actually are rooting for them. And it was a really cool kind of mini series. But that one was fun. So if you're into soccer or football, check that out.
I appreciate that Apple TV Plus keeps their selection, at least on their user interface, small.
Yeah.
When you scroll through Netflix, you're like, you're just overwhelmed. Apple TV Plus, I feel like, at least with the things on their thumbnail, it looks like they make about 9 shows.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because it's kind of it makes you feel like less is more and that they take those things very seriously. It's their premium. It's they're making the content. But the one that you didn't mention that looks interesting to me is Hijack with Idris Elba.
Yeah.
That one,
I might get to that one
I've heard
too.
good things about that, so let me know if you check that one out.
You know what they also do that I like is you can tell just by nature of the content in the trailers, they reuse a lot of major actors multiple times, which Disney has done more lately with like they'll be in the MCU and then they'll show up in Star Wars and then they'll show up into a Pixar voiceover and then they'll show up into but because they haven't used, I'm going to make up numbers, 80 A-list, A-tier celebrities, they've used 30 of them 2 to 3 times. They'll put that little section at the bottom that's like, explore Samuel L. Jackson. And you can tap on that, and he's its own little picture tile, and then it'll bring up like the Apple TV Plus stuff they've done with him first, and then content that you can find with him through other apps. And I really like that. I wish Netflix would do that more because they've got so much. And I know you can just say, maybe a lot of people don't. If you have an Apple TV, you can say, hey, Siri, show me movies on Netflix that have Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And it'll bring up a whole list of just the things on Netflix that he's in. But it would be nice if they did like an actor spotlight on there when they know that they have a lot of really high quality movies by 10 to 15 people. And that section could rotate. And they could put it at the top with popular actors, like explore the best of Martin Scorsese, and you select that, and it's his best movies. It feels it's a really easy way to let an algorithm add a lot of I don't know what the right word is, critical value, or that's not right. A lot of artistic value, a lot of curation to something that's really just, hey, if the algorithm sees Samuel L. Jackson, make sure to include it in this section.
Well, I talked about that when I discovered Ruben Östlund. It was like, I want to watch his most popular stuff.
Right.
So I was like, I want to watch through his library. I know people do that with other directors.
So anyways, so I thought that was interesting. Another thing that I had to, have you guys seen this Golden Bachelor thing?
No idea what you're talking about.
Okay, you know what The Bachelor is, the TV show. It's been on forever. They're teeing up a Golden Bachelor show, which is the first person to be selected, he's 71 years old. Okay. All right. And this felt really absurd. And now I'm thinking this could go one of two ways the more I think about it. My original thought was they're going to put him in a big house with a bunch of booze and everyone's going to be shallow, just like the young people, but they're just going to all be 70 now or 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't know, somewhere in that. And then I thought, if it wasn't that, if they didn't force like every other reality show, here's an unlimited alcohol budget because we know that'll make a drama and entertainment. Mm-hmm. Could it be a really interesting reality show where like, is he going to carry around a kerchief? And what will that be like for viewers as he uses that for the first time in the show? Like, is he going to sit and bond over how his kids and grandkids are worthless millennials and Gen Xers and Gen Z over and that whole conversation play out on television? I'm just wondering.
It's a good point.
I'm just wondering, like,
are they going to make him like a 30-something?
Right.
Or are they going to let him?
My initial reaction was they're just going to have a bunch of booze in the house, and it's just going to be a much older person than they would normally have. And then the date, but then I thought,
but they'll treat it in the same way as if
treat
it were 20
and
and 30.
they'll edit it and cut it down to exactly like
That's a funny
real world. And then, but the more I think about it, I'm like, the more I hope that he represents the stereotypes of an older generation more than it's just edited down to be exactly like The Bachelor, because I think what an interesting social study that could be with the audience. Imagine a bunch of 18, 20, 22-year-old college students watching all these 70-year-olds interact and date. What does their dating look like? Like, is he opening car doors every single time? Is he ordering, good and bad, is he ordering food for her? Like a date goes to order at a restaurant and he's like, I'll go ahead and order for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, it could be a really interesting social study on what dating looks like for a 70-year-old versus what that show
Well, I think either way they go,
year.
if that's your sliding scale, they're ticking off somebody. Either you're going to tick off the people who watch The Bachelor because it's trashy and expect the 20 and 30-somethings boozing it up in hot tubs, or you upset the people who are like, that's not our generation. Or you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
In that case, it upsets both. Or those people are go, I didn't sign up for this.
But the things that could come,
that's so funny though. It's
just imagine
that's a comedy sketch.
Imagine
that's
him
an
getting,
SNL comedy.
Imagine
sketch.
him getting boozed up and saying something like, "But I agree with Sean Connery. Women need a light slap every now and then." Oh my! And just dealing with like, as long as it's open-handed, you know. And it's like you can't say. They've never dealt with the ramifications of like everything's on social media.
He's like a little racist and he can't cover it up no matter how much he tries.
I'm just, it could be what slips when there's, I don't know. I have no idea.
That's funny.
It could end up being none of that and way less interesting and much more boring. But I'm like, there's a couple ways that could go that could be pretty interesting the more I think about it. Gosh.
I'm just imagining the cast of 80 for Brady, and then there was another movie where they all go to Europe. It's like that age of woman.
Uh-huh.
I forget the name of that movie, but it's the same people. It feels like the same people. Like they're the people vying for his heart.
Right. This is, and that was the other thing. I'm like, I can't imagine anyone is gonna show up vying for his attention that looks like the Golden Girls, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're gonna go to like, this is gonna be the moms of the Real Housewives of Orange County in New York City, right? Like those stereotypes, right? That's gotta be who they're trying to put, because he's a very dashing, slim. He's got a suit on in the ad, and his hair's slicked back like like he's on the board of directors of, Chase Bank and lives in Midtown Manhattan.
Good-looking 71-year-old.
Right. This isn't somebody's like, grandpa who's got fried fish grease on his shirt from the last fish fry.
Right.
So I'm like, they've got to be looking for the most attractive, young-looking 70-somethings to pair with him. This isn't the Golden Girls cast.
Right.
So I don't know. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I guess
we'll see what they
as it
do.
comes
I mean, I
out.
think the reality is it's going to be whatever it is the producers decide it's going to be. I
Yeah.
feel like that's the way those things go.
However they want to edit it, right? So that was
Yeah.
my first concern is, are they just going to edit this down to look just like The Bachelor and feel just like The Bachelor if they just happen to be 40 years old?
Well, we've heard of some of these reality shows going beyond editing, like coaching, telling people what
Sure.
to do and how to act.
Sure.
Almost like you're directing actors in some of these things.
Yeah.
So
The movie I was trying to think of was Book Club: The Next Chapter with Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Mary Steenburgen, and Candice Bergen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've seen the trailers. Kendall, are you still watching wrestling?
no, I currently don't have a streaming service
Okay.
that has it on it.
I was gonna
One of
get-
these days.
We
I
needed
will.
we needed a WWE update.
I keep seeing things on Facebook, or not on Facebook, on YouTube that I haven't watched, and I'm just going to start watching them now. Before I was avoiding them because I was like, no, I'm going to catch
Yeah.
up, and I'm going to start. And now it's been so long that
Yeah.
when I jump back in, I'm just going to jump back in. I'm not going to catch up anymore, and I'm going to want to know what's going on. Rumor has it, or at least what I've been seeing in headlines is that the bloodline is experiencing some inner turmoil. So
Who's the bloodline? Oh, is that the
Roman
the
Reigns,
Roman,
and
yeah.
the Usos, the Usos,
Usos.
the Usi
Who
guys.
joined the Usos? There was somebody else that joined.
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn joined them.
Zayn.
Yeah.
So one of the Usos is scheduled to fight Roman Reigns
Okay.
at this point. So I don't know what happened, but something.
If you want a good 2-hour sit down, just two guys chatting podcast, Sami Zayn was on Andrew Santino's podcast Whiskey Ginger a while
Oh, yeah?
back. It's a really interesting conversation because he's not his character.
Yeah, yeah.
He's totally the actual human,
Right.
and talking about his story and how he got into wrestling. And I don't like his character in WWE, but I really like the guy. Mm-hmm. He'd be the type of guy I'd want to sit down and have a drink with and just talk to. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Right on. Right on. I do want to say that a happy birthday to my wife. Belated birthday. It was last week, and it was good. It was a fun day. The kids and I celebrated without her during the day because she was at work, and then we celebrated again when she got home. We did a fancy cake and had dinner and the whole nine. And the following day, though, was something fun. Dillon was telling me early before we started recording, I think, that he started recently to get serious about using like a restaurant membership situation.
Yeah.
And for anybody who knows me, I'm signed up for a couple of things, but for the most part, I don't want any part. I just,
the rewards, you're saying?
rewards and stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody wants, and I'm just like, no, I just want my Slurpee. I don't want to be a member at the 7-Eleven. Thank you.
Yeah. And my point was diving in all the way to I'm going to place all my orders through the app.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at all the different tabs and features and use my rewards when they come up. And
But my wife, on the other hand, loves that stuff. And so she signed up for all of the restaurants, all the fast food places, especially even places that we don't even go.
Yeah.
I've never had a cake from Everything Bunt Cakes. Mm-hmm. Right?
They are good, though.
I mean, I hear they're fine, but holy cow, expensive. And I'm just like, no, it can't. It's not that good. Not for me.
Sure.
It's not for me. But somehow, for some reason, she signed up for them.
Yeah.
And so on Saturday, the day after her birthday, she has all of these free birthday gifts from all of these different places, right? And so for lunch, we just went out. I chauffeured her around, and she would get out, go in, get her free thing, come out, and we went around to all of these different places.
Love it.
We were out for an hour doing this.
That's awesome.
And then went home and just had a smorgasbord of this stuff.
I was going to say, did you eat as you went, or did you just save it all?
No, the only thing that we ate as we went was Skyline was given chili cheese fries, and we decided those needed to be eaten in restaurant. Yeah. So we did that. Everything else we just gathered up, got it home, divvied
That's
it
awesome. Happy belated, Amy. And
Yeah.
I appreciate, Amy, many things about you, but one is that you're the most engaged wife with our podcast.
Yeppers.
So thanks for that. Sherry has it set a really low bar, so anything above one episode beats her. And Bree's pretty great, but I think Amy has you beat. Bree, sorry. Love you. Yeah, happy belated. That's awesome.
And speaking of nostalgia, before I forget, did you guys see the Good Morning America announcement that Good Burger 2 is coming? Do you remember?
Welcome to the Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can it take your order?
Yeah, I love orange soda.
Coming.
Who loves orange soda?
I appreciate that Keenan commented, just like the original. He's like, this is just going to be a fun, silly movie that everyone can come see at the theater. And so that begs the question.
Yes.
Are you going to try to show your kids the original Good Burger and then go see Good Burger 2?
Probably not.
No, neither.
No.
You're like, I'm just going to wait for it to show up on a streaming thing.
And
then
maybe
we'll
not
watch
even
it.
then.
And maybe not even that. Not big fans of the Good Burger.
I mean, you have to. It was the sketch first on all that, right?
And then a
Yes.
film.
And then a film.
Yeah.
So I feel like you really got to show them the sketches first, so that they can appreciate.
They can appreciate like the fan service of the film. Maybe. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Speaking of nostalgia and fan service, I watched Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny
Oh boy.
with Sherry and Case.
And
All right.
An 8:30 p.m. showing.
Ouch.
It's a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
did you fall asleep during?
I have a lot of thoughts. I think this will be a polarizing movie for Indiana Jones fans.
Okay.
I think they will really like certain things, and other things will be hotly debated. It's better than Crystal Skull, but
Not a high bar.
that's not a high bar. I really liked certain parts of it. I got lost in the adventure in a couple moments. Dillon, I know I tend to you're really good at not taking my recommendation or opposite and making that your bar, but if I really like something, I feel like you say in your own head, it's probably not that great. It's Kory. He's just overreacting.
That's not a thing that I do.
So if I'm going to do you any favors with Indiana Jones, it will be set your expectations low, and then you might really have a good time. It's not bad.
Okay.
From that on its own, it's not any better than Raiders of the Ark or Last Crusade. Then there's no way how you just described it that way,
Nah.
and it's
Right.
better than one of those two.
Somebody said it's not a spoiler. Somebody reviewed it. It's a film buff, and they were like, the magic's just gone. You know, it's just like, I think Star Wars does a decent job of like keeping some of the magic alive with their films and shows. And I feel like for this one, and it's not because Indy's old, and it's not because he can't do some of the stunts or whatever. That has nothing to do with it. I think it's just not the same on the nostalgia tip that you're looking for. Like, it's fine. It's fine. I was entertained.
Yeah.
I had a good time watching it in the theater.
There you go.
And maybe that's where you should go see it if you're going to go see it. Go see it in the theater. Have the classic John Williams Indiana Jones score playing loudly while Indy fights Nazis. That's worth the price of admission. But if you're going to pick it apart, some people really aren't going to like certain parts.
I think that as I get older, I'm not going to let anybody's opinion really truly sway how I feel about something. If I like it, I like it, and if I don't, I don't. I do find I struggle a little bit with how much Harrison Ford doesn't give a shit about having been in Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
At least pretend
He
like
could
you like it.
care less.
Yeah.
He doesn't even want to really talk about it or answer fan questions or any of that. And I do find that a little challenging. Like, conversely, Ewan McGregor is like super gracious with the fans.
Yeah.
Even Hayden Christensen has come out, after having done super gracious with the fans and will try to engage on the whatever people are asking. And it's like, you don't have to be over the top. But it's really tough because it's with Harrison Ford especially. You're like, man, if it wasn't like a artsy Oscar nominated film, you could care less that you even did that project. And that's tough.
I thought of a way to describe it. If Top Gun Maverick followed a formula of the success of the first one and almost made a beat for beat, fan servicey, beautiful follow-up,
Which it did.
this one made some very intentional choices that will polarize people. Some people will really like those choices, and other people will really not like those choices.
Yeah.
This did not. In some sections it did, but as a whole, it made some really interesting, like, that.
It feels like you're describing The Last Jedi. Like,
Sure.
Ryan Johnson,
He made some hard and fast decisions about where he wanted it to go, and that was a big bet, right? If it's an easy bet to make another Top Gun just like the first Top Gun, that's the easy bet. You're going to win people over. This one was like, we're going to make some bigger bets, and it's high risk, high reward. If people like those things, they're going to like this just fine. And some people I know gave it an 8.5. And if you don't like those things, you're going to be like, maybe just edges out Crystal Skull.
What if you have no loyalty to the other movies at all? What if you haven't seen Raiders of the Lost Ark or
Great
anything,
question.
and you came in and just watched that one? So you're not a fan to be serviced or not.
Then I think you're going to go Raiders, Temple of Doom. Even though I disagree, I put what's our favorite?
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade. I like that one. You're going to go and then this one and then Crystal Skull.
Okay.
And you're just going to go, that felt similar.
Okay.
Stylistically. Yeah. I think they did a good job. And I read a really thoughtful review. Somebody said, whatever you think, to your last point, Dillon, Harrison gave 100% in this movie. He really leaned in, gave 100%, even though he couldn't physically do a lot of the running and stuff. It felt like, regardless of what he says in interviews and stuff like that, in the movie itself, he delivers. So
That's good.
that's a comforting thing. It feels like he did what he was asked to do and then some. So I'll just rattle off when I'm streaming. Let me know if you want to hear more. Alone Season 10 is on. Yes. If you haven't listened, we had an Alone contestant on our podcast. Season 8 contestant Nate Weber. Go back through our backlogs and listen to that. Season 10 is really fun. About half of the contestants have tapped out at this point, real time. So that's been fun. Dillon, you recommended Louis Capaldi, How I'm Doing Now, a while back, a Netflix documentary. What made me watch that was when I saw a clip where he's performing somewhere live to a massive outdoor, I forget which concert this was, concert series. It's a big,
It was in
well-known,
England, too.
Yeah, big, well-known.
It was in the UK.
Big, well-known British outdoor
Glastonbury
venue.
or something like that.
Well, Lewis's Tourette's has gotten so bad that at times he can't even perform. And there was this moment where like his tics get so bad and he does like a shoulder shrugging thing that he stopped singing and his fans started singing his lyrics and he got emotional and I got emotional watching it. So it made me want to go back and watch the documentary about his story. You were right. That was very good. I highly recommend it. Whether you like his music or not, it's a great story of someone's life.
Well, and also that clip, the second batch of lyrics as you're listening, you're like, oh, it just,
it fits perfectly.
It fits really nicely with the scene.
Tom Segura's new special, Sledgehammer, just dropped on Netflix. It's Tom Segura. It's not family friendly. If you like Tom Segura, you're going to love it. If you do watch it, he also dropped a 30-minute documentary about the tour that this special is a part of. And people just talk about what it's like to work with him and some funny behind-the-scenes stories. I'm just saying, if you watch Tom Segura Sledgehammer, go watch I'm not going to say the title. Go watch the documentary, the 30-minute documentary on YouTube about that special. It's very good.
Funny quick thing to throw in there. I saw an episode or a quick interview. Rainn Wilson was on Bert Kreischer's show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know Rain is joking, but he very dry and sarcastically says, basically, I just realized just now that I'm up here talking to you that you're not Tom Segura. and that you're the shirt off belly guy, and I'm being interviewed by you.
That's really funny.
It was very funny because they get mixed up a lot.
Yeah,
Bert
yeah, yeah.
Kreischer and Tom
And they're
Segura.
best friends.
And they're very good friends.
Yeah,
so
they-
I thought that was a really funny Rain Wilson thing.
And they host the podcast Two Bears, One Cave. So anyway, and then the last thing, it's an old show, but I think they just dropped a new season or it just got added to Netflix. Sherry and I really struggle to find a show that we can both watch and enjoy. And we've really been enjoying Suits, the legal drama on Netflix.
I love it.
So good.
I love it.
Really enjoying it.
Man, I went on a lawyer kick like a year
Yeah.
or two ago or whatever, and Suits was part of that. And
It's
that
crazy
was-
how season 1 ends, by the way. And then you're like, I'm so glad I'm watching it in this format instead of waiting until next week to find out what happens.
Yeah.
Really good show, good writing. I like the characters. It's weird to see Meghan Markle in it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, if she were still royalty in the royal family officially, it'd be really bizarre to be watching this show or to have that
indeed,
out
yeah.
there in the world if she were still royalty. It's kind of better that she's like, that they've decided to like opt out
Right.
of the royal family thing and just kick it with
The rest of Hollywood.
Tyler Perry. And no, they don't live with him anymore. But yeah, that's a really good show. It's really enjoyable.
absolutely is.
Yeah.
It all started with Boston Legal.
Boston Legal. Yes. You talked
Boston
about
Legal.
that.
And just because I turned into a big James Spader fan
Yep.
all of a sudden.
Yep.
Because I needed somebody to replace my old favorite.
Yep. Yep. And the Blacklist. So you had your little Spader.
Earned the
thing.
Blacklist, which is still rolling. Yeah. But then I watched Boston Legal and I'm like, man, I need more of this lawyer stuff. And then
Yeah.
I stumbled across and finally decided to watch Suits that I'd heard about. I was like, oh, this is pretty great.
Have I got a movie for you? It's called My Cousin Vinny.
That's awesome. And in Formula One news, one of my favorite drivers, Daniel Ricciardo, who was taken off of the grid at the end of the season last season, he's back on the grid. He's racing this weekend under Red Bull's second team, AlphaTauri. He's this really likable Australian dude, and it's good to see him back on the grid. So I'll be watching him this weekend. So welcome back, Danny Rick.
Beautiful.
There you go.
Anything else? This has been a long one. It's been fun.
This has been good.
I feel like I could go another half hour though, if I'm honest.
You know what's unfortunate is I really wanted to do one in person because I have gifts for you guys, and I forgot.
That's the reason why I pushed for it, and I'm pretty disappointed.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. Still love you.
Let's say that we got together because I brought drinks. That's why.
There
Dillon
we go.
brought small drinks. And
That's just how it came.
and that's why you drove
That's what she
35 minutes to get here.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We really enjoy listening to you. Thanks for all the tips that have been rolling in since we mentioned our tip jar last week or the week before. That's been awesome. These guys are looking at me like, "What? Money's rolling in?" No, it's not. But if I say that, maybe it'll start
Yes.
happening. So thanks for that. That's really cool. Hey, we love engaging with you. We've been getting some really fun messages and texts and emails in response to some episodes, but if you want to ask questions, I'd like to put the paddles on the answers from the middle
Bring that
segment.
back. Yeah.
I'd like to bring that back. So if you don't know what that is, that's like ask us a question about social etiquette, or what would you do in this situation, or what's the right way to fill in the blank, and we weigh in. It's comedic.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be serious. We would love to do that. You want some relationship advice, parenting advice. Speaking of parenting advice, Kendall, you're wearing a Clippers hat.
I am wearing a Clippers
I got
hat.
to go to a Clippers game on Sunday.
Oh, wonderful.
A friend of mine had a suite. He invited us. We got to experience AAA baseball from a suite. It was very cool.
Okay.
While I was walking the concourse, I met a guy who's a friend of a friend. His name's Matt, and he's the host of the Dad Ass podcast. And Trent Lundberg has been trying to hook us up and say, you guys
Interesting.
should do like a collaboration crossover thing. I DM'd him. He got back right away. They're on summer break, but when they get back, We think we're going to do something cool with the Dad Ass podcast. So that would be really awesome. They're here in Central Ohio, and it's all about parenting and being a dad, which is very much part of our spiel. So anyway, we love engaging with you. Let us know if you have any questions. In our link tree below, in the detail episode description, is a phone number you can call or text, leave a voicemail. Question, funny comment, something you want us to weigh in on. You can also email us. So many ways to get a hold of us, DM us, whatever. It's all good. We'll take all of it. Anything else?
We're on Threads.
We are?
Yeah.
Are we?
What's
Wow.
Threads?
I don't know.
I think you're officially on Threads if you're on Instagram.
No,
Is that
you have
true?
to opt in. And
Okay.
we did.
We opted in.
We opted into
We
Threads.
opted in. And
Hey, we're on Threads. Don't ask us what.
You know, if there was one thing that this world needed, it was another social media device. That was
Well, the feeling is if this kills Twitter, it's only really one more.
if this kills Twitter.
If it kills Twitter. Yeah.
it won't.
Thanks, Artius Man. Artiusman.com, ARTIUSMAM.com. Fill your cart, 25% off. We love you. We love y'all. Have a great week. Be kind to each other. Bye.
Bye-bye.